Hey everybody, this is Kurt from Ethos Reviews. Well, I'm inching closer and closer to getting a Peace Walker review together, but I'm not quite there yet. I mean, so far, so good. The game is great. But we'll have more on that probably next time. But for now, let's talk about one of the best Nintendo 64 games ever made. And I'm talking about Goldeneye 007 for the Nintendo 64. It was released fairly early in the life cycle. It was made in 1997, and it remains one of the best games for the system, despite being released so early. It really, I mean, it's legendary for its multiplayer. It's legendary in so many levels because of some of the famous missions and locations in the game. It really is has stood the test of time. It's based on the movie of the same name, Goldeneye, which was made in 1995. And this was the first James Bond film to star Pierce Brosnan in the role of 007. And just like the game happens to be one of the best N64 games, this happens to be one of the best Bond movies. And I would say it's probably the best Pierce Brosnan Bond movie that was made. I liked his other movies as well, but nothing really quite beat Goldeneye. And nothing was worse than Die Another Day. So let's move on. But anyway, Goldeneye has been covered by many critics and many reviewers, and has either written reviews or videos have been made on Goldeneye, and deservedly so. It's really one of the finest games. Now, instead of just talking about it, why don't I show you some of the best parts of the game and reasons why it really has stood the test of time. One of the most legendary levels of all time, the Facility. It's the second level here in Goldeneye. And you know, it's Metal Gear that made stealth what it is today in video games, but Goldeneye certainly was one of the best. Awesome. I mean, you could go through that pretty much throughout this entire level in a stealthy fashion. And it's just great. Go completely undetected. I mean, I've played this particular level like hundreds and hundreds of times. I mean, eventually you get caught, but look at this. You could just go, look at it. This guy is screwed. So speaking of stealthy levels, here's another one called The Bunker. This guy's going for the alarm. I mean, of course, with the advent of the silent PPK, it's just so awesome. And you can never experience the game quite like this. This was like one of the first great first-person shooters available on a console that really emphasized stealth. So you really felt like you were in the game, in the experience. Also, had to worry about security cameras for the first time. Here's another one of my favorite levels called The Archives. Level begins with Bond stuck in a interrogation room here. And you have a couple of choices here. You could either chop those two guards, and you see on the top of the screen there is dialogue listed rather than voiceovers, but certainly for the time it worked. And there's also a pistol on the table. So you could have two options here where they're going at it, but I go for the chopping method. Wow, this guy's tough. That took a lot of work. But it was quiet, see, it was stealthy. You have that option. Also, there was availability of a lot of cheats, too. One of the more famous ones was the DK mode. Let's see that DK mode in action. Oh my god. Now, also, this game was not only about stealth. There was plenty of action to be had, too. As you see. And it got pretty intense. It's a great game. I like to think that this is the game that really made multiplayer popular. And while that may not necessarily be the case, it certainly was one of the more legendary ones made. And it was a college dorm favorite for years and years. Alright, so as you can see, GoldenEye had a lot going for it at the time. And still, considering by today's standards and how complex and advanced games have gone since 1997, a 13-year-old video game like GoldenEye has really stood the test of time. Whether it's the legendary missions that we've seen, or the bonus levels, or the multiplayer option, which, as I said, was of legendary status and still is, I would say, and those really wacky cheats that you have as well. I mean, the Goldeneye was really a masterpiece, and certainly one of the most memorable games for the Nintendo 64. Now, there were a lot of other James Bond games that had followed, and I always thought that The World Is Not Enough for N64 was another really good one. Sometimes I thought it was actually on par with Goldeneye, but I think the sentimental value of Goldeneye makes it the better one. And then there are plenty of others, and I don't even have them all, but I would say Nightfire was also pretty solid, and Everything or Nothing had a pretty good multiplayer. So I would say for the most part, James Bond games were consistent, except for Tomorrow Never Dies for PS1. That was horrible, but be that as it may, the franchise has been around for a long time. I'm sure they're still going to be making games, and it's been for the most part, consistent. And of course, the movies, well, they're great, but die another day. No, but anyway, so that'll do it here from Ethos Reviews. If you haven't played Goldeneye already, you definitely should. And that's all I have to say, really, about that. So hopefully next time we'll have that review of Peace Walker. But until then, I'll leave you with this clip. Enjoy, and thank you for watching.
For England, James?